Welcome to Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show we have
Katy Cocking.
Yeah.
And we got to talk to her. Well, I got to talk to her about subscription boxes. She's running a couple of really successful boxes, and she has a really interesting business model. So it was a lot of fun. And she was sad that you couldn't be there.
To it. Yeah, because I wasn't here. I was flying home from Mexico City. So I really appreciate you doing it. And I can't wait to listen because
it was really interesting. She used to write cozies and romance, and she transitioned into this book box business. And she says that it uses all of her top strengths. Whereas in writing, she said she's high ideation, high activator, and so she changed and did a lot of different genres and things. And she said with the book box business, it uses all of her, her ideas, getting things going. And she has a new book box every other month. So she gets to do different things all the time.
That's great.
And she's really good at ads and marketing. So she's having a great time. So it was interesting to talk to her about how she made the change.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, do we have any new supporters?
We do. We have Autumn Aarons and she picked the heart emoji. So
well, thank you, great. Autumn. We appreciate it. And we appreciate all our supporters. Thank you all for supporting and letting us know you like what we do.
Yeah. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go to wishidknownforwriters.com/support. And then you'll get access to the backlist and of supporter episodes. And we have a new one of those coming out. It'll come out tomorrow. I talked a little bit longer with Katy about her tips in the episode, we talk about one-time boxes, and then we go into that a little bit more in depth in the supporter episode. And then we talked about how she found an audience, discoverability, and because she had, zero starting from zero. So it was really good. So that's coming up.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Another something I need to listen to.
Yeah. So what are you doing this week?
Oh gosh, if you can hear them, I'm keeping my grandkids this week. Alexa has a wedding in Colorado, and then she left yesterday, and then she leaves Colorado Saturday morning to go to her brother-in-law's wedding in Portland, Oregon. Her husband leaves Friday to go to the wedding in Portland, Oregon. So it's just like crazy brains around here. Today is my oldest grandchild's birthday. So we were up early doing that. And so that's really it. After flying, my vertigo got really bad last Friday and Saturday. That was not the smartest thing I've ever done. And I had a real crisis of faith in just myself and what I'm doing and whether I should be doing it. I don't know, but I'm better now, and we'll see how things go. I'm still writing, so we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah, I feel like when you don't feel well, it just makes everything so much worse.
It was bad. Yeah,
and so I can see why. That might happen then, but you're doing great. Just keep going. That's all you can do.
I'm here. That's about all I can say. Yeah. So anyway, what's going on with you?
I'm still working on the illustrations, not me personally, but I'm waiting for things to come back, working on those. And I also got my special edition Nile Steamer book all done. And so I've ordered a test copy. I'm going to use Book Vault again, but that took me about a week and a half to do all of the interior, because I decided it would just actually be easier and faster if I did it. I could always outsource that, but then I feel like if it's not quite what I want, and then all the back and forth. So I was like, I'm just going to do it all. And I enjoy doing it. Towards the end of this week, I was like, I'm kind of ready to be done with this, but I do like putting all the special things together. In the past, I've done character illustrations. And this time I thought, there's a lot of good stock clip art, like on Deposit Photos, of black and white images of movie stars and just average people from, vintage photos. And I was like, I'll just use those. So I spent quite a bit of time searching for images and found some that I think really convey the characters, which that was a lot of fun. So I put those in the book, and then it has maps, and then it's got the chapter background and the little chapter heading icon. So color pages and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great.
So that's been taking up all my time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it. That's
Yeah.
part. It's
And
not just writing. I wish it were, but it's
I
not.
know that's a lot of it. And I finished Ludwig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I liked
Good,
it.
isn't it? Yeah.
I liked it.
They're going to have a second season, so that's.
Yes. And as soon as we got to the end, I was like, oh yes, this is Western TV. So that they're going to keep us hanging on just a little bit. You know, like they didn't tie
Yeah.
everything up. I still enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
I'd kind of forgotten that, the storytelling differences. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It
are.
was well done. Although
Yeah.
it seemed so dark to me. Like all the scenes seemed really dark. I was like, why is it always so dark at their house?
It is dark. And it's kind of a light. I mean, it's serious, but it's lighthearted too. So
Yes.
it's a real contrast. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I agree. All the scenes in their house are dark.
Yes. I was like, they need
people
more
not having
lamps.
lighting. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've been watching Mobland with
Ooh.
Tom Hardy and Pierce Brosnan and what's her name?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Mirren.
Helen Mirren?
Helen Mirren. I mean, she plays. She is like rough in this.
Not sweet.
Yeah, no, she is not the sweet granny in this movie at all. I mean, in this show at all. And after the first show, I was like, I'm not sure, but I kept watching it, and it's really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's gruesome. I mean, it's mob stuff.
Oh, well, so talk about dark, right?
Yeah, and the language is rough, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, other people might too. So
well, that is cool. I'm looking up right now. I'm pretty sure that Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren are going to be in the Thursday Murder Club.
Yes.
When they make that. I don't know if it's out yet.
I don't think it's
I think it's just been announced. So that'll be fun. I
did want to say that last night. So when the 2005 Pride and Prejudice came out, I took took Alexa, my oldest daughter, to see it. And she was 11. And it's her favorite movie. I mean, she just loves it and stuff. So Murphy, my oldest granddaughter, she turned 12 today. So yesterday I took her to see it because they've re-released it in theater.
Right. Yeah, I heard that.
For like an anniversary thing. And I was really afraid that I had messed up because for the first part, probably the first half, she was squirming in her seat. She was yawning. At one point, she put her hoodie over her head. I was like, do not go to sleep. And
you're going to miss the best part.
Yeah, exactly. So but she stuck with it and really zoned in about halfway through and loved it, ended up loving it. And so it was really good. And actually, in the first one, in the original, we never see them kiss. Like there's never a kiss. But in this one, at the end, we get the kiss. It's the deleted scene. So it was really, really great. And the theater was full.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a girl behind us crying. I mean, when it was over, she was like, that's my favorite movie. So it was a fun experience for.
Oh my goodness. That's such a good movie. And I like that they've released it into the theaters.
I know everybody doesn't love it, casting choices and stuff, but for me, and probably because it was the first Pride and Prejudice I'd seen, I went and watched the BBC one after I saw this one. But
that's yours. That's your favorite.
I love it. I mean, I really like the BBC one too. It's just different. And I think that's what people don't like. But.
Well, see, I saw the BBC one first, and then I saw that one. So I have the flip. It's like, that's like the longer one, the one with the more exploration of all the storylines. I love that one. I love this one too, but that one is my super favorite.
Yeah, in just a different way.
Yeah. Well, but I would definitely go see it.
We should probably get on with the episode. It is so good, I'm sure, and I can't wait to listen to it myself.
All right. Well, here is Katy. Today, we're really excited to have Katy Cocking here. Hi, Katy. How are you?
Good, Sarah. How are you?
Great. Jamie can't be here today, so it's just going to be me and you, but we're going to have a great time talking about mystery boxes and book boxes and everything you've been doing. So let me read your bio real quick and we'll get into it. Katy is a former author and publisher who now runs a multi six-figure book box business. After years of treading water as an author, Katy finally leaned into her strengths and created her dream job, one that focuses on her two favorite things, reading and shopping. I hear you there. That's a good combo.
Right?
Yeah, I love it. Tell us how you got into writing in the first place, and then we'll get into how you got into the book boxes.
So back in the day, probably around maybe 2012 or 11 or something like that, I used to have alpacas. I used to raise alpacas on my farm, and I had a blog, and it was called Alpaca Farm Girl. And so I used to blog all the time. And then, so I was always writing, and I was in social media with that, and it was really fun. But then we sold the alpacas, and I watched one day on, I think it was Oprah or something, and Stephanie Meyer was on there, and she was saying from Twilight, and she was saying that she dreamed Twilight, but that is how it came to her. And I thought, dang, the next time I have a
I could do
dream, I'm
that,
going to
right?
write that down. And so I actually did. It interestingly, it turned into a erotic romance career for a while. And I just did it at first as a lark, just for fun. And I saw like a submissions call for this publisher in the UK, and I just applied and they accepted my book. But then they redlined, like the editor, when they sent it back to me. Oh my gosh, the red all over. I was like, why did they even accept this? It must be so terrible. But I learned. And later I worked with small publishers at first, and then I went indie. And I did that for really the last decade, but I wasn't good at staying in one lane. And I would write, the most I could really write without losing my attention span would be like a trilogy. I knew that a 6-book series was like so hard for me. I just like to start new things. I'm really into the Clifton strengths, and I have high activator. I am number one ideation. So I have a new idea every hour. And I would watch my friends, because some of the people that I started with are people that you would know their name. They're millionaire a year authors now. And I'm like going, why not me? But I also knew that it was because they were giving their readers the same experience with every book. And I was changing. I was like, now I'll write a cozy mystery. And then I would think, okay, that wasn't, I don't know, I'd get bored, or I would get a bad review, or something would happen. I would think the new trend was great. And then I'd be like, okay, we'll write paranormal romance. And then I would write some of that. And then I would say, oh, now it's reverse harem. Let's do that. So I was just all over the place. And I don't know really if I would be able to really stay with that whole thing where you give your reader the same experience over and over again. As a reader, that's what I want. So I get it.
I know, but there is that feeling when you get bored with it. And if you have high ideation, I imagine there are just so many possibilities. It's probably hard to stick with one thing, because you don't want to be like dreading writing if you don't want to write that thing again and again. So I get that.
And I have mostly like influencer strengths. Like when I would go to the strengths workshops and stuff, they would be like, no, these are very rare strengths for writers. And I was always, oh. And
do this then.
I knew it wasn't the best fit, but it was very hard to close the door. Very hard to leave, because I kept thinking maybe this next book is going to be the one. I will say, in hindsight, I'm really glad that I did what I did. And I do a lot of audio. I do a lot of translations. And at one point I was like being a publisher and publishing other people's books. And that was something I was into. So I was always trying something new and having fun with it. And I started to watch and listen to podcasts about subscription boxes. And actually, Sarah, I remember when you were doing a special box, you were talking about that you had been listening. And I was like, oh, I am too, Sarah. listening in my car. I'm like, me too. It's so interesting. But it took me a very long time to make the leap.
So tell us about that. How did you transition? Obviously, you started doing research and learning about this. And so what helped you make that transition? And tell us a little bit about your business now, what it does.
Okay. So my business is called Cozy Books Corner. And it is a mystery subscription box for the mystery genres. So we started with cozy mystery, then we branched out into true crime. And then earlier this year, we started a mystery thriller box. So now we have 3, but it was slow going and everything. Here's the thing is that I've always been a mystery thriller type reader. I like a mystery. That's what I'm going to read if it's my spare time. But I was mostly writing in romance and it was not a good fit. I was always like thinking, how did I even get here? I'm not sure. But Stephanie Meyer, I'm going to blame her with that dream thing.
She was very influential with a lot of writers.
But one thing I can say as someone, who is really into marketing, I love marketing and sales, and I always have. And which is not what you hear from most writers, of course,
Right.
but
Yeah.
but I love it. And so the things that I notice is that the romance authors always are at the forefront. They know
They
what
are
is up.
the trendsetters. They keep
They
an
are
eye
the
on things,
trends.
they do it, and then the rest of us follow them.
That's exactly right. And
Yeah.
I knew they had boxes. I knew there were several subscription boxes for romance. And I was fascinated by it. I was like, "Ooh, I just love that." And then I was like, "But what about cozy mystery?" Because true crime, I have to tell you, never occurred to me for a very long time. And mystery thriller seems overwhelming because it's
Right.
mystery thriller could be the Da Vinci Code, or it could be
Right.
James Patterson, or it could be Karen Slaughter.
Very wide.
It's so broad. And that was too much. And I thought, I'm not doing that. I don't know how to do that. But I had written some cozy mystery. I knew indies were in cozy mystery. And I thought, why don't I, since I've been an indie author and I understand this business pretty well, why don't I connect the paperback readers who are like, they're going to buy their books probably at a local bookstore or Barnes and Noble or something like that, or maybe Amazon, but they may not run across these indie authors who do so well with their ebook. So I thought, they're not going to see them at Barnes and Noble. Let me put them in my boxes. We do first in series. And that was my idea. What I did first was I got someone to do a website for me. And it was funny because something was, I think, in the background going on with this lady, because she had been recommended by subscription box experts as someone who can really do a great website and everything. And she was very nice, but like it took her 2 years to do my website.
Wow. But you were using all
and I
that time to do all the other parts of it?
I was using that to help me procrastinate because I was like, I can't do it without the website. I got to have a website. And it just was so hard for me to close the door on. It was just like, and it's weird because I'm very high activator. I don't know, but it took me a long time. The big thing was I needed to get an audience. And so I did a giveaway to start that.
Yeah. Because that's the main thing right now is discovery. How do people find you as an author? So how did you find your mystery box subscribers?
Didn't know how well I knew Facebook ads until I moved into a different world where I was trying to sell something that people wanted more than they wanted my books, because I just had never had super success with Facebook ads. It was like a little bit, but it wasn't like printing money or anything like that. When you go to those, I've probably taken like 7 classes on Facebook ads over the last decade. Actually, I was like, wow, I know how to do Facebook ads. So I just ran some ads to my giveaway. And then we used a program called Kickoff Labs. And so they have a deal where it's like people can share it. And the idea is to get it to go more viral and stuff. And you get points for sharing it and stuff like that. So we did that, and we started out in the fall of 23, and I had bought the things for an October box, but then we had some things happen in our family. My son lost his best friend, and it was just a really rough fall, and we just didn't get it live in time. So I used those boxes as like add-ons so that if they subscribe, we have a little pop-up that says, "Would you like to add this on?" And so we found a way to use those boxes, even though we got started a month late. So we had a warehouse full of stuff. And then we did Christmas, and we started with 23 subscribers, really,
but still, that's from 0 to 23. That's great. At that point, was it a monthly box or was it quarterly?
Yeah, we've always done bi-monthly. I thought if I do monthly, the books are going to start to pile up at some point. And if I do, wait, did I say that right? If I do monthly, they'll pile up. If I
Yes.
do every other month, then it gives them a little more
Right.
time.
And a
Right. And that's
box
how
is
I like to do
different
it.
from a box of products that like you would wear or something because you've got to consume them and people may not have time to read a book.
And yes,
Yeah. So I think that's smart.
very
Yeah.
true. And I feel like we have to acknowledge the fact that we're not just competing with we're competing with phones. We're competing with streaming services that are just everywhere. There's
Mhm.
just so many distractions. I think even people who would like to sit down and read every day and they would
Mhm.
love to read 2 books a month. I just think that's a lot to ask. And
Mhm.
I just have to look at reality. So we
Yeah.
did bi-monthly. It was very overwhelming to me at first. There's a lot of moving parts. You have to make
Right.
sure everything arrives at the same time. And if something's delayed or if something doesn't fit in your box, then you have to rethink this.
Right.
So at first I was like, this is so much. I can't imagine the monthly. But after a while, it started to get more doable. And I was like, oh, we could do something in that off month. We could do another box. And my original thought was to do something like crazy different. That is my normal Katy thing that she has done her entire writing career. Okay, you're writing cozy mystery. Let's write a sci-fi dystopian or something. I was always going so in left field. So I thought, no, let's learn something from what we've
Mm.
done and let's stay close in our genres. And
Oh.
mystery thriller came to mind, but then I was like, still, that's pretty scary. So then I was thinking about doing a box like maybe with a mystery game, like they'll have
Mhm.
these dinner theater and or
Yeah.
like you get together with your you do these games. So I started to research that. And what I found was there's a ton of those. And I was like, I don't know if that's if I want to go into something where there's already a lot. I thought, but anyways, I just came up with the idea to test out and to try true crime, just to look into what's happening with true crime readers and books. And what I found shocked me, which was that no one is really serving these people. And
Except
I thought,
podcast.
yes, and TV stations, like they have whole networks
Yes,
for
but there's no physical things they can order.
but like for the reader, like what if
Yeah.
you like to read, right? And that's not going to be most people who watch the shows, of course.
Mhm.
But I thought I know there's people who want to
Mhm.
read
Oh yeah.
books, who want to
Yeah.
read true crime. So I did a little giveaway to build a little bit of an audience for that. And I launched that in July of last year or June, where the July box was our first one. And in 2 weeks, we doubled our business. It was crazy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Was it like subscribers that were interested in cozy mystery and true crime, or was it new people?
New people, though
Oh, exciting.
there is a crossover. And it's interesting because not everybody, of course, who
Right.
wants to read cozy mystery is definitely not. They're not all true crime. Some of them are probably horrified by the true crime, really.
But they're both
Yeah, but then,
mystery. So they are related in a
yes,
way, but I think that's
yes.
good because then you've got two different audiences that you can market to and reach and gives you expand your business. I think that's really smart. Yeah.
So that has worked out really well. It's a very different, it's fun to see behind the scenes. Their behaviors as customers, as groups of customers are very different. And that's one of the things I think is really great that's worked so well is that I do understand my customers and I know them really well. I don't know that I would know the romance genre
Mm-hmm.
people as well. So I think if I do that, I'm going to hire someone to help me that knows it
Mm,
is better
yep.
because I think that
Mm-hmm.
really helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So this is so interesting. So let me ask a couple of our questions that we normally ask
Mhm.
everyone. So, what is your definition of success, and has it changed as you started doing this new business?
I think I have a weird answer for this one because I feel like we're taught in our just culture, and even more so as women, that money is not a good it's like we're not
Right.
supposed to want to make money. But I think it was 2014, I got really sick out of the blue and almost
Mm,
died. I was in
mm,
the hospital for a week in the ICU and I survived and they never figured out what was wrong with me. And I'm okay now. But it was such a weird experience and I will never forget that as I was laying in the hospital bed and thinking, wow, I almost died. What now I have to reevaluate my life, right? And I looked at my life and I was like, wow, I love writing books and being in the book world. I love the relationships that I have. I don't have any relationships that I really want to do anything different with. And it was sad, but it was funny because the thing I just kept thinking was the only thing I'm not really happy about is that I don't make enough money. And I felt bad about that because I was like, oh, this is not what you're supposed to tell people when they go, what did you learn from your near death experience? So I don't usually talk about it, but that was the thing. And during all those years that I did romance and that I was publishing, I did make some money. So I don't want to make it sound like I stuck around and did this for a decade without making
Right.
any money, but it wasn't anything to write home about. It was like enough for me to, but I was staying at home with my kids and I loved that. My kids are now in their 20s, but at the time, I really enjoyed being around for them. So I thought about it. I thought, well, maybe I could go be a realtor, or maybe I could go do this and all these things that I thought I could make more money doing. And I actually have a doctoral in psychology. So I was like, maybe I could go actually do what I went to school for. But I just never did because I didn't want to. And I think the timing wasn't right. But now I have 4 kids in college and it is just not cheap. And
Oh, I know. I totally know that. If you're going to
so,
have a business take off, please let it be during the college years because that's when you're
yes.
going to need it.
Yes, exactly. So the timing has been pretty good in that department. But for me, I do think that success is important for you to have good relationships and be happy in your life and be happy with your family. Once you get all that going and you're happy and all that stuff's happening, that was the thing that I felt like I needed because I was like, I wanted to leave. I want to be able to do for my kids. The
I,
thing about money is the more money you have, the more choices you have.
yeah, I think that's
And
true.
that's freedom.
And that was one of the things that I'd always wanted with my writing was to make enough money that I could contribute to the household income. I wanted it to be something that was financially successful. I loved writing for the love of writing, but I wanted to also have that financial success too. So I'm glad you mentioned it because I think a lot of times people don't mention that. And I think that's a great measure of success. Yeah. What are you glad you know now?
I've seen this before in a Venn diagram. What I've found finally, because I have been an entrepreneur for my whole life, really. I had the alpacas, I've just done a bunch of different things. And none of it has like, I wouldn't say that it was successful, especially with that definition we were talking about before. And I think you can do this as an author. I didn't really find this as an author, but I do think most people can. And that is where you find where if you have 3 different circles and where they intersect, like the circle of what you love, what you are passionate about, and that intersects with a circle of what you're good at. And then that intersects with what people want to buy,
Yes, and
like
those
with the
all have to
demand.
overlap. And when they
Right.
do, it's perfect. But it can take a while to
Yes,
figure all that out.
exactly. Because I wasn't able to figure it out for myself as an author. And that's okay. I'm really glad that the way my journey has gone because I know the book business so well. It helps me with what I do now.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
just, yeah, what do I love that other people are wanting? And I think that authors can lean into that a lot.
Yeah. I think that's really smart to think of it that way. Because if you can get those 3 things together, then you're in a really good place. What do you still need to figure out?
What do I still need to figure out? So many things. How to be focused, how to do the details. I think I've gotten to a point now where I hired someone recently to help me with the operations side of my business to manage things. And she is helping me understand that I need to work in my zone of genius. And if I don't like something or I'm not good at it, it's okay for me to be like, hey, I'm the CEO. I'm going to do what I'm good at, and we're going to give this to someone else to do because I'm never going to be good at spreadsheets or happy to work on a spreadsheet. In fact, every
I
time
hear
I
you.
hire, yes, every time I've ever hired anyone, I always put in the description must love spreadsheets because I just know that I need people like that in my life.
Me too. Yeah. And I've gotten to where I can use them, but mine are
Right.
never great. They're
And
workmanlike.
and yes, and the people who get joy out of that. That's what we need. We
Right.
need people, the creatives need people who find joy in those sorts of things.
Yeah, it's smart to figure out where your strengths don't lie. And I do remember
Right.
years ago, we met somebody. He said, I tried to, whatever I'm not good at. And I thought he was going to say, I try and improve that, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I hand that off to somebody else. And I was like, oh, that's smart to be able to do that.
Yes. In fact, there was a book that I read about that. It's called Who, Not How. And I don't remember who wrote it, but it was a fabulous book for people like me. I could tell that the guy had very similar strengths to me as I read it. Because there are books that you'll read in business where you think, I can't do any of that. There's a book called The One Thing where they tell you you have to focus on the one thing. And I can never do that. That would
probably sounds terrible.
I can't even do that for 30 minutes, people. Like, not,
Yeah.
but for the people that works for, right? That's great for them. But as you start to read these things and they give you this advice and you're like, what? That's just not, no. Then you just know that this isn't for me. But like the Who Not How guy, he basically teaches if you're not good at something, you can get someone else to do it. And he hires people to do just about everything. And he just sits around thinking of ideas. I'm like, I like this.
Perfect for you.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Along those same lines, what's the most unhelpful advice you've gotten? It may have been something to do with stay in your lane or something like that, but what's the most unhelpful advice?
I think it is the one thing. The way my brain works, like I thrive with activating and new ideas. And so I'm obviously super into the strength stuff. And so I had a strengths coach one day and I was telling him, I was like, oh, and I think I'm going to do this program where we're going to do this every Monday and this. And he was like, that is never going to work for you. You might make it a week. He was like, but don't think that you're going to do that or that there's something wrong with you when you cannot, because you thrive on something different. You need something different every day. You cannot do the same thing every day or you'll just die of boredom and you won't be yourself. Like the energy that we get when we do things that are in our wheelhouse. Right now, when I look at what I do every day and what I do every week and just the whole thing, it's wild because now I'm using all of my top 10 strengths.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And a subscription box is perfect for you because you get to change and do things differently every month or two. So if you were starting over today, what would you do differently? And it could be with the writing or with the book boxes. If you were going to start completely over, would you do anything differently?
I don't think I would, because I do feel like I learn so much from when things don't go right. I feel like you get more information from your quote failures. It's like every time I pivot or I have to say that did not work, I'm learning something. So it's an opportunity.
I think that's a great attitude to have. And that way, even if things don't go well, it's almost like you're putting a positive spin on it because you're using it for the future. So that's good.
Because you grow. I love growing and trying to learn more. I love to learn new things too.
That makes sense. I did want to ask you too about a book box. I know most authors don't want to do a monthly subscription book box. That's a huge commitment. But if they wanted to do like a single one-off box, like a special thing at Christmas, or if they're a romance author, maybe at Valentine's, what advice would you have for them? Because like you were saying, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
So the first thing you got to figure out, there's two things, is you want to have some sort of a theme, something that ties it together. If you have two Christmas books or three Christmas books or whatever, you could that would be an easy way to do it. But like, let's say you had two different series that had dog as the sidekick. You might do a box where you used book one of each of the series. So you had two dog books. So then you could figure out like, do you want to offer this to dog lovers? Maybe you put in maybe people who have dogs. What else do you want to put in there? Do you want to put in something like dog biscuits? Because we just did a dog themed. And so we had a dog bookmark and then a notepad, and I used indie artists as well. So you can find people like on Etsy, that kind of a thing, to see who's doing what and what's available. So a theme is a good idea.
Okay.
Because it gives you a chance to have a reason. You always want to have a reason. Like, why should you buy this? This is all about dogs, and this is our dog series. And then the other thing I like about themes that I feel like this is a tip that I've been doing, but I just realized is fun and cool is that when you do a theme, then if you do Facebook ads, you can pull in the dog people into your ads. Like,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
an interest target you can bring in. I remember when we did one with tea, it's
Mhm.
like that was one of the themes was like beverages like tea. And it never occurred to me, but it was so much more fun. I got a lot of new people when I was like targeting tea lovers and tea drinkers and tea. And I thought that's something I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, that's
Um,
smart.
and so that's like your plan. And then you figure out what you want to have in the box. You might want to have a lot of extras. You might not want to. I know that in romance these days, they're much more interested in the fancy sprayed edges, hardcover, special artwork. Like they seem to want that more.
Mhm.
My cozy readers, they seem to just like when I put cozy items in the boxes, they seem to love that. And so you figure out like what do your people want? And then what are they buying from other people? What do they talk about?
Mhm.
In the groups, because if they're not interested in fuzzy socks, don't put fuzzy socks in there, but they
Right.
might love fuzzy socks. That might be like their favorite thing is I just love to get cozy with my books. So the extras and how much of the extras you're going to do, that's just something you want to think about. After
Mhm.
that, the next thing you really got to figure out is how is it all going to fit? What kind of box am I going to use? We
Okay.
use like a mailer box, is I think what they're called. And so we ordered those special. And if you're just going to do like an author is just going to do like however many for themselves, I don't know, 20 to 200 or something like that, you probably don't need to worry about special ordering boxes. You could, but there's places like Box Genie that we use for printed boxes. We save that for special occasions because they're more expensive, but you can have them printed with, like, if you were a romantasy author, you could have your dragons and all
Mhm.
sorts of amazing artwork on the outside of your box. That is
Mhm.
super cool. And that could be a real big selling feature. But if you're not into that, you could just do a plain box and you can put stickers on it, like a brown
Mhm.
box. So there's a lot of choices, but I do think that you want to make a mock up box where
Okay.
you know if is it all going to fit, right? All the things I'm
Yeah.
thinking about, do they all fit? And then also how much is it going to cost to ship? Because one of the biggest things I see people do in e-commerce and just business is you can't if don't try really hard not to lose money on the shipping and don't give
Right.
free shipping because free
Yeah.
shipping is like the ticket to
It's
the bottom. It's
yeah.
not
I debated that with my Kickstarter when I had physical products. I was like, do I cover shipping or not? And I decided I wouldn't. And nobody said a word about it, that I would have them pay the shipping. And nobody was upset about it.
right.
I don't think it's something we have to worry about.
Shipping these days is so expensive. And the problem is that when people are in business like this, they're scared to charge it. So then they build it into their product cost.
Hmm.
And some people teach that. They teach that's how you should do it. And I just think, I think when it was $5, that might be okay. But now that we're like at possible $10 for shipping, because they're going to raise that shipping price within a year.
Yeah.
They're always raising it. And so what happens is then the same people who are scared to charge shipping are scared to then raise their price. And
Yeah.
so then they wind up in a problem. And the other thing that I didn't realize before I got into business like this is that you're also paying tax on
Mhm.
your shipping. You don't normally have to pay tax. You're just getting yourself coming and going when you do the free
Yeah.
shipping. So
That
I just
is,
always
yeah.
tell people just be confident. Don't do free shipping.
Right.
Charge shipping the way what it costs. Don't charge. I
Hmm.
don't charge for the box itself. That's just something that comes is part of cost of doing business. But do charge for
Yeah.
the shipping.
Yeah. Makes sense. Anything else on the one-time box?
I know this is something that they were probably doing in romance for a long time and any marketing is do I think I'm learning this more in my business today. I was never good at this as an author, but I'm getting better as a e-commerce person is
Hmm.
that the anticipation.
Oh.
Draw it out. Tell them, hey, we have a special thing coming August 1st. mark your calendars, give them something's coming. Then as you get closer, you might do some sneak peeks. You might do some, but you know how like you'll see authors do graphics that are like 3 days until this, 2 days until this release. The anticipation, if you can get your fans excited, that is just such a it really works to sell things. So
Yeah.
I have started telling my people, hey, we're going live with this product on this date at this time. People actually, they set their alarms. If you have people who are excited about your stuff, hype it up, make it a thing. And so that would be my advice. As you're promoting it, draw it out, make it a big deal. Because if you're doing a special box,
It is a
that
big
is
deal.
something
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, because you're not going to do it all the time. And that box will probably never come together again with those unique things that you're putting in that box. So it is a special big deal. Yeah. We're coming to the close, but we're going to do a short little post-show chat. So we're going to stick around for that. But before we close, what's the best thing you think you've done to set yourself up for success?
Ooh, probably learning what my strengths were and then leaning into them and not worrying so much about the things that I wasn't good at, just focusing on the things that I am good at.
And
And
that's
I
very
think I'm
freeing,
happier.
right?
Yeah. And I think I'm happier too.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm like not good at things like responsibility and organization. And most of your life, people tell you need to be more responsible. You need to be more organized. And you feel bad about yourself. You're like, yeah, I
It
guess
is
I
easy
do.
to feel down about those things. But like you said, we can find people to help us with those things that we're not good at. So it all works out. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. Tell everyone where they can find your book box and more about that.
Okay, so our website is Cozy Books Corner, and the books has an S in it, cozybookscorner.com. And I am giving you guys a coupon. So if any of your listeners want to come and shop, we have t-shirts and reader gifts, and we have our subscription boxes. And sometimes we have one-time boxes so people can try it out and see if they like what we do. And if they do, then maybe they'll subscribe. But either way, we have one-time boxes sometimes as well. And the code is WISH20.
Okay.
So that's for 20% off your whole order. And the other thing I wanted to tell your listeners is that we also have on our website a section for authors, and authors can come and fill out a form where they can tell us about their books so that then we can know about them and we can consider putting them in our boxes.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you for being here and for telling us all about your book box. It's been really interesting. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been so much fun.
You're welcome. So we'll have those links at the show notes, and that will be at wishidknownforwriters.com. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go to that same link /support. See everybody next week. Bye.